A social and serial entrepreneur, our guest is disrupting the future of African entrepreneurship while creating thousands of jobs in Africa through mentorship and funding for entrepreneurs. It's Fab Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Live Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, startup coach to first-time founders. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now help newly minted business owners sleep through the night by giving them peace of mind. Because, hey, a new business does not come with instructions, okay? Thank you for carving out time to tune in and up your founder game while cheering on a fellow founder. So grateful for your participation today. And for those of you watching, please be sure to click the like button on the video. And if you have not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would be oh so grateful for your subscription. I am so excited to introduce to you today this amazing woman, Edith Njage, and she's going to correct and say her name correctly because for some reason I am having a hard time with it, so please forgive me. But this is Edith. She is the co-founder and CEO for Arielle for Africa, and she is transforming so many lives in Africa where she is disrupting the future of African entrepreneurship by providing relevant skills, business acumen, coaching, legal, and funding support for entrepreneurs in Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. And she has an MBA in international business, MS in both disruptive innovation and finance. And Edith is deeply passionate about cultivating a global generation of job creators and disruption agents in the African economy. Her mission is very big and audacious. She wants to create over 113,000 jobs in Africa through mentorship and funding for entrepreneurs. Let me tell you, I had a real, what we call hurl moment, hang out in real life and hug in real life with Edith. Look at this fun picture. I got to spend time with her because Edith pitched at the monthly pitch event I co-host here in Boston, and she won the pitch event. No surprise there. Please join me in welcoming this amazing, fab female founder. Welcome to the show, Edith.
Yay! Thank you for having me, Ande. Thank you so much. So
I'm so thrilled to have you. Seriously, your energy is contagious, and everybody fell in love with you when they saw you and met you at Founders Live Boston. Your pitch, they just couldn't get enough of you. It was such a treat to see you there and meet you there and learn more about Arielle for Africa. Where are you hanging out today?
I am in Nairobi, Kenya. So I'm in the 254. That's what we call it.
The 254? Okay. And will you please tell everyone the correct pronunciation of your beautifully, exquisitely beautiful last name?
Edith Njage.
Njage.
There you go. You said it. Yay.
Yay. It can happen. Please forgive me, everyone. I just, my brain doesn't always work that. It's my learning difference. There you are. Yeah. Well, folks, where are you hanging out from today? I am here in Boston, and oh, good, we've got we have Mia, right? And she's hanging out from Denver. And I want to say, Mia, same thing. Did I not say that? I said, could you please readjust your camera, Edith, because that necklace is friggin' amazing.
Yay!
Hey, Steve, great to see you. Were you at January 2019's pitch event? Did you get to see Edith? Let us know, okay? Because if you did, you'll remember the vibe that she puts out. Yeah. Extraordinary. I want to remind folks who are watching that this is a great opportunity for a couple of things, okay? One, network. Throw out your LinkedIn into the comment threads and your business and business URL if you are a founder, because there's nothing I enjoy more than bringing that information up on the screen in the comment section. So Edith and I can go, yay, you rock, you're amazing. Uh-huh. And so I highly encourage you to do that, because it's, where are we going to go to network nowadays?
Yeah.
Hop on webinars, hop on, anything that you can, Zooms, whatever, and meet folks. So Eric, Media Prepared. Remember when he interviewed you?
Oh, I remember. Hi, Eric.
So at Founders Live, when we meet in person, everyone, what happens is we would take the winner, we pull them aside, and they have an interview with our favorite sponsor, Eric, Media Prepared, and we capture great information about our winner of the pitch event. So thanks for swinging by and saying hi. Okay, so thank you, Theodore, Ted. Happily pitch events are less scary than they used to be. Yeah, I think it's more welcoming and inclusive, right, Edith?
It is. And especially Founders Live in Boston, absolutely loved it. That was like being at home. Yeah.
So, and what's so cool is that now you host Founders Live. Founders Live is an international platform, folks. Yeah. And you have it over there in where? Share the locations.
It's crazy. We've opened up Founders Live Nairobi, Kampala, which is in Uganda, and Kigali is opening next year, which is in Rwanda.
Oh, it is so great. And folks, you can watch live anytime and join the fun and ask questions. If you've joined me live at Founders Live here in Boston, next one is January 28th. You can get in there and you can ask one of the 5 featured founders who only have 99 seconds to pitch their business a question and learn more and add some wind to their sails. It's a great time. Anyway, so Edith, I am so happy that you're here. And I'm so happy you're here to join and share your launch story. Everybody has there I was on payroll, getting the steady paycheck when some idea came into my head, some idea came into my heart. In my case, all my businesses came at like stray cats at the door, yowling until I let them in. Please share with folks what it is that, that spoke to you about entrepreneurship, because, you have a double MBA, and I know disruptive innovation is really important to you, but you could have done that for somebody else. You could have gotten a job somewhere. Share with folks what called you to go into this path. And I want to know, what was that moment? There was the lead.
Oh my God. I think I am one of those people who has always been built or made to be an entrepreneur. I don't think I could have done anything else and been great at it, like entrepreneurship. So I think it's one of those things that I was just built to do it. But my aha moment happened when I was 18, actually. And that was when I founded my first company, which was along the lines of entrepreneurship, but more working with young people to become an outsourced sales or marketing for other companies. And we were able to do this for 11,000 people in Africa, in 12 African countries. So my aha moment was realizing there's a problem in my community. There are young people who are unemployed, right? Uneducated, so they're told in order to get a job you need a degree, but in order to pay for the degree you sort of need a job. So mine was really coming in as a problem solver, and I would say it was more of a heart thing, but when I founded Arielle for Africa, that's when the heart thing went to the next level. So that was in 2018. I was minding my own business, doing my master's, and then that was when it happened. I met my co-founder Ferouz, and we realized that there's a big problem in the whole continent, and entrepreneurship is the solution. And then we went from there. But I was really minding my business, doing my master's. It was fun. We were in London. We were living it up. But then that happened.
And were you at the HALT International School?
Yes. Yeah, so I was at HALT International Business School in the London campus. That was where I did my first master's. Then I met you in Boston when I was doing my second master's. own business, and then
Because Halt encourages, right? Halt encourages you to
yeah.
think about how you could serve the world as an entrepreneur, and they're very supportive of that, right?
Yeah, very supportive. We actually ended up working on the company under Halt Prize. So Arielle for Africa was born in Halt Prize. And it was actually perfect because we were already working on the idea. And then the sort of title for the competition came and they said, you need to create 10,000 jobs. And we're like, oh, but we're trying to do 100,000. So, but we're like, let's just go, let's just do it. Let's just be overachievers. So we actually built out the company whilst doing Halt Prize, and we went quite far actually. We did win. We won local competitions, and then we went on to the next level, and then in the next level we're in the finalists, but then we didn't go past as the one selected team, but we did really well.
Yeah, and that's huge to make it past regional with a Halt. So prize. So folks, if you follow me on Instagram or wherever, Twitter, you know that I am often a judge for the Halt Prize competition. It is $1 million prize. Yeah. And it is all about making the world a better place.
Yeah.
Increasing jobs, lowering carbon footprint, feeding the world, it is, cleaning the waters. It is an extraordinary endeavor. And the fact that you made it, as far as you did, congratulations. It's not easy. And you're up against a lot of competition. Yeah. So what is your co-founder's name?
Ferouz Sameret. So she's Eritrean. Yeah.
So Ferouz and you say, okay, we have this idea for Arielle for Africa. What was like, and we all have these great ideas, folks, but the main reason businesses fail, startups fail, is because they build something that the market doesn't want. It's just as simple as that. So that's why it's so important. And that's why we talk about it on every episode of the Startup Life Live show. Prove that value prop. How did you take your hypothesis that, Arielle for Africa was something that the market wanted, because you had to prove it. I mean, you knew in your heart and your brains, from the data of seeing the lack of jobs and the uneducated, et cetera, you knew, but how did you go about proving that?
I think I like that question because a lot of even entrepreneurs that we handle, they don't do value prop until they meet us. So it's sort of a damage control thing where they're 10 years into whatever they're doing and we're like, wait, you're doing the wrong thing because the market doesn't need what you have. Part of what actually has allowed Arielle for Africa to do as well as we have at this point is because we started off by speaking to 10,000 young people. So before any business model was drawn, before any business plan was written, before any numbers or idea was agreed upon, we talked to 10,000 young people in Africa and we said, would you rather start your own business or work for someone else? 87% said we want to start our own businesses. Okay, so we said, so why aren't you starting your own business? And then they said, okay, we need legal support because we don't know how to handle the legalities. They said funding is an issue. They said mentorship was a major thing. They said industry-specific skills were really big for them. The networking, the access to support and partnerships was also something that they pointed out. So we said, okay, now let's make something that the market actually needs. So we built the Arielle for Africa business model, not based on what we thought was good or what sounded good or what we thought was right, but based on what the market needed. So because we have always benchmarked against what does an entrepreneur in Africa need, what does a young person or young talent in Africa need, then that is what has allowed us to then be sort of accepted by the market. So regardless of what African country we've gone to, because our 10,000 people were spread out so wide, our thoughts, our approach has been mostly correct.
Oops, I pressed the wrong button there. I brought myself into Edith. Thank you for showing that you asked the right questions during the discovery process because, and I know founders, you hear this a lot, you have to ask the right questions, and you just walked us through some of the best, which is, well, why? And why? And why? And that's when you get the information on how to serve your customer segment, which clearly, how would you define this segment? People who are...
I think we have a mix. So here's the thing again, Ande, that happened. Like I said, we started out saying we're going to work with entrepreneurs, and the pathway to job creation was entrepreneurs. Like that's what we were sticking with. Then the world happened. Everything that has happened in the last 8 months, COVID, she came with what she came with. And as a result of all of that, we ended up sort of having other business units. So Arielle for Africa has evolved beyond anything that I ever saw. If you had told me this day one, I would have probably resigned and said, thank you very much. No thanks. But we have ended up evolving in how we create jobs for African youth. So we included corporate leadership, which is where we train up the C-suite for any sort of franchise or startup or SME in Africa. So making millennials who previously were seen as unpromotable to be the CFOs, CBDOs, or chief of operations in the future. And we call that Jenga boss, which in Swahili means to build a boss. And then the second thing that we added was our financial literacy arm of the company. And this was when we were spending time with entrepreneurs, and their main sort of question was, oh, but the company profits, that's my salary. And we said, no. And they're like, no, the company accounts, that's my bank account. And we're like, what? So we ended up having the financial literacy arm that deals a lot with financial literacy for any young person, really, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're more in the corporate line. And then finally, we added the funding arm of Arielle. So really, we ended up evolving to a point where even I look at it and I'm like, we're not just working with entrepreneurs, we're churning out jobs into the market from all directions. I don't even know how it happened. I don't know. I just woke up.
You're a founder. Founders solve problems. So as you dove into this one particular segment, you saw opportunity here that would not cannibalize or dilute anything else that you were doing. It would add value. It would have its own distribution channel, so to speak. That is terrific. I wish that for all founders, that ability to say, okay, here's, the core that we set out to serve, but wow, all these other opportunities presented themselves to you, Edith, and you said, okay, we can help that way because, and I say this a lot, the pathway to your destination can be flexible.
Yeah.
But not the destination. And your destination is 113,000 jobs is what I keep reading everywhere.
Oh my gosh. But let me tell you, Ande, based on how things are going, I'm not sure if I shared this with you, but when I pitched in Boston, Founders Live, which was what, like 10 months ago.
10 months ago. End of January 2019.
There we go. When I pitched, I said, we want to get to 7 African countries in 10 years, and we want to create 113,000 jobs. But we have gotten to 5 countries in 10 months. So we moved from just being in Kenya to being in Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, and South Africa in a period of like 5-6 months. So right now we're stable in all of those countries, which is crazy. And then based on how things are going, we'll hit the 100,000 jobs next year. So it is crazy because it means, what are we going to be doing in 10 years? Like, I was like, so do I retire? Like, can I just be like, bye? No. So we might actually end up revising that come next year.
Yeah.
Maybe something like 1 million, like a bigger goal to be like, okay, let's go.
And I think it's like that quote, I think it's a Martin Luther King quote or one where you just take one step at a time, right? Yeah. And so, because if you look at, or you eat one part of the elephant at a time, because if you look at the whole thing, you're like, never going to happen. But you would have been like, no, thank you. That's too lofty of a goal. And there's a lot to be said, folks, for that, small step. And then as you get used to vibing and being the founder and pulling these opportunities together and you build partnerships and collaborations, then the big loftier goals are easier to digest. They're easier to implement and make happen. And Yeah, but some people are capable certainly to just come out and do something that's just so ridiculously huge because they just have that capability. But most of us, it is like parenting. You're usually one chapter ahead and how to grow a baby, how to be a parent. And, it's the same thing with the new startup. So I am so excited for you. Okay, so Eric, who, by the way, Eric, let me just pop this up here. Yes, he first said, I was so impressed with Edith when we met. Pure positive energy. True story.
I love it.
So Eric is asking, do your goals or methods change based on the country you're working in?
So yeah, we've actually had to adapt. And for us, it's been quite diverse and different. So I'll use two examples. When we started expanding beyond the Kenya border, Kenya for us, we've dealt a lot with entrepreneurs in arts, they're very, as you can tell, very artistic people. So we've dealt a lot with entrepreneurs in the arts, in food and beverage, in that sort of region. When we moved into Uganda, the partner that we really worked with was solely agriculture based. So all of the entrepreneurs that we are dealing with in Uganda are all farmers. And then when we got to Ghana, we were dealing with techies, right? Which was new territory for everyone in the Arielle for Africa team. And we had to spend a lot of time sort of like getting our tech curriculum and our approaches there, and the legal elements as well there, and the funding approaches different as well. And I think that has just been such a beautiful experience that every time we've gone to a different country, sort of like the practices are different, the languages are different, what people want to see during sessions is different, the examples, the conversations, right? So everything that they're saying or talking about, their markets, their ideas. I've had to spend time studying countries like Zimbabwe or Zambia because we plan on going there, just so that by the time we're having conversations with entrepreneurs, we have very good background in their local market as well.
That's awesome. Excellent question. I agree, Laura. Love all that Edith represents. I love her energy too. So Laura has a company, everybody, an incredible olive oil that is farmed out of Turkey by all female farmers. Can we just get a woo?
Woo!
Yeah. So, isn't that amazing? So, I mean, it's just so on purpose, and yet it's just an incredible olive oil. And I know she'll be expanding into other areas as well, based on what the female farmers can provide. Oh, it's so exciting. Another quick question from Eric before we move on. How has SARS impacted your work?
Okay, so there is SARS, and there is also, I don't know if you heard about what happened in Uganda, and then also in Kenya, we've had a lot of like differences with politics. So I think all of the African countries that we've been in have been very tricky in terms of all of the issues that are happening socially. And so for us, in terms of how SARS has impacted, is that we found ourselves having to almost play, aside from just a business role, a mentorship, leadership, human role. So a lot of us mentors and people that we work with are very human, to the point where entrepreneurs feel like, I can tell you how I'm feeling about this. I can tell you how I'm feeling about this brutality. I can share my frustration, and you can let me know how I can adapt my business based on everything that's happening. So we've just had to maintain a very human touch with everything that's happening. For countries like Ethiopia, we had to stall our plans because of all the bombs that were being dropped on people. So it's been crazy in the continent. Aside from COVID, there are a lot of bigger problems sort of happening. So we really had to pivot and be very wise when handling the entrepreneurs, especially, but then also when planning things. And just the other time we had Founders Live Kampala, and that was when people were being beaten on the streets by police. So things were happening.
Okay, Americans. I know we're feeling a little shaky right now. I
You're
think
fine. You're fine. Calm down.
we're
You're
fine.
fine.
Edith is navigating some really scary territories. I mean, really life-threatening, challenging uh, landscapes. And the
Mm,
fact that you just spoke about the human touch that
yeah.
you have incorporated into your curriculum, that
Yeah.
deep understanding that the loss and the fear and
Mm,
the obstacles that are very real, and at
yeah.
the same time, let's look those in the eyes and deal with them, and at the same time, where there's a will, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
And being able to talk about the problems both on the
Mm,
human end and on the business end is such a gift.
yeah.
Thank you for really understanding that part. Hey, Blairdacious Blair, good to see you in the comment threads. How are you, darling? Santa Monica is in the house. Woo! Steve has a quick question for you that he posted earlier, and that is, I'm seeing a lot of awareness, awesome innovation, and emerging founders coming out of Africa, especially in fintech, crypto. What other startup trends are you seeing on the continent?
This is really interesting. I'm seeing a lot in terms of social innovation. So I'll point out a few companies that we've entrepreneurs that we've worked with. Um, One, actually, Lamazi Tribe. She pitched at Founders Live the finals, but she's from our Nairobi sort of hub for Arielle for Africa, and she is using waste to create fitness apparel. So there's a move in that direction. There's also a group of founders that we're working with, a team, and they have basically come up with like toll stations for water, for drinking water. So instead of buying plastic bottles and throwing that because waste has become a big thing, that you get a toll station and you just carry like your portable bottle, and these stations are all over and you just refill. The same is happening with milk stations. So I'm seeing that a lot. It's what I'm really starting to see is a move towards things that are basic that people need, but in a environmentally safe way. And I think we're really proud to see that, because another thing that I've also noticed is a lot of solar businesses coming up to allow for energy, a lot of hubs to allow for Wi-Fi access in like rural areas. I'm also seeing a lot in terms of educational things. So sort of like online apps or programs for kids 2 years old to get their minds jogged really early, and things and games and mobile money transfers. So like not Visa to Visa, but like all you need is a SIM card, no bank account, just your SIM
Nice.
card, and you can transfer money. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
I
Yeah.
love to see that. And I love to see these social issues being addressed. I met a founder recently who is taking the old flip phones
Mm,
and creating the ability to get internet access with them. It's right. It's just incredible when people start thinking socially with their businesses. The impact is huge.
yeah.
And yes, Steve is right. Here in Boston, we've seen a lot of the blockchain, cryptocurrency, uh,
Mm,
especially for moving money around the
mm.
planet, coming out of Africa. But I love hearing about these other businesses that are being formed. So Arielle for Africa has become an umbrella, right? With all these wonderful business models coming through, and great customer segmentation, and which is wonderful because you have more ways of revenue into the business is important. How have you financially sustained the business? Have you bootstrapped? Have you found through grant money some non-dilutive capital? Did you have some angels pop in and write checks? Did you win money at pitch events? How has the funding of Arielle been for you?
Oh, I think this is really crazy because um, so we made a decision at the beginning of the year. And this decision was not to go forward with the investment round that we were working on at the time. And we did this because in our hearts, we knew that was the valuation at that time, but we saw the potential for growth beyond that number. And we didn't want to sell a big chunk of the company at that price at that time. And so we made the hard decision and we bootstrapped. And that is what we have been doing since day one. We have literally bootstrapped to this point. And when you tell people, oh, in these countries, we have 10 employees, we have 50 mentors and coaches, pool, and all these things, it sounds crazy, but we have bootstrapped. So I think that speaks to the business model of the company and how profitable it is, because it has been able to sustain itself. So bootstrapped. Of course, I won Founders Live Boston, and that was good, sort of like online.
Yes, but Founders Live provides a credit with Amazon Web Services, folks, and some Google. I think at the time we also were able to provide some Google cloud services as well. So that's great, and that's a one way, obviously, to offset some costs in doing a business. But clearly, you went out, you got some customers who paid you.
Basically, that's what we did.
And that's great. And I always like to tell this story. And I apologize if this is the 200th time you've heard me say this, but MailChimp bootstrapped the whole way. So, hey,
we can do it. Yeah,
that's right. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it if you're focused on getting that revenue in as soon as possible, and that you're not creating a new vaccine that you need money to do up ahead of time. Anything with those big hard assets, you're going to need that. Yes, Mia, bootstrapping is a wonderful way to maintain control of the business and the assets of the business, i.e. the equity. Look who's joining us. Ande Njage, co-host of Boston Founders Live.
Hi, Ande. Oh, my heart. Sending you love and all the best wishes. Oh, my heart.
So AJ, I don't know if you caught it earlier, but I threw this up from Founders Live earlier because we had such a good time with Edith. Yay, Edith. So yeah, that's great to know. And bootstrapping is a wonderful way to keep your machine lean. And because sometimes folks get some cash in, and then they're willing to spend maybe a little bit too much for services and too much for salaries. And it's really best when revenue can feed the business that way. So let's talk. We've talked about your vision and all the things that are happening and escalating much faster than you thought they would. But the collaboration, like how do you find mentors to help with your programs? How do you get government entities onboarded and corporate entities onboarded? I mean, this is on board so that you can meet your mission.
I think for us, we have, like I've said, COVID has been really good for us. I mean, it's bad for the world, bad for all of us. But it's been good for how we've approached the business and how we've approached sort of looking for partnerships. I think for us, when COVID happened and when we made the decision not to get in full equity capital, right? It meant that we had to be very creative about how we brought in revenues, right? And we needed it to come in different directions. And so part of what we have really intentionally done is we've created strategic alliances that fall into all the 4 business units. So we have strategic alliances under financial literacy that allow for trading certifications all over Africa, that allow for virtual trading, like with crypto in international stock markets. And for that, there's a revenue share, right? We've also made partnerships up to, I think, about 20 that have allowed us to access pools of mentors, pools of coaches, individuals, people that come in, even just for webinars or conversations like these. We've also had to work a lot with government entities. Which here is a big challenge. It's a big challenge because it needs a lot of patience. But yeah, working with government here is not like working with government in the US. So here, there's a lot of bureaucracy that has been a big challenge for us, but we have actually created some really good partnerships in the government zone. But all of this has come from something really simple. if your purpose is clear and if you live it out, and if people see it when they see you, then they trust you. And so for us in the Africa market, trust has been everything. So we have partners that have trusted us with their people, trusted us with their entrepreneurs, trusted us with their funding that they handle, trusted us to make a decision on which entrepreneur can access what. And all that trust has come from a place of the founders are anchored in purpose. And because they have a vision, they have a goal, they're not here for any one thing, they're here to accomplish their vision and their mission. And we've always been very transparent. And I think that really has won over a lot of partnerships.
That is outstanding and extraordinary. I'm having an Andy-licious moment right here. Seriously, I want everybody to take that in, that is part of the brand promise of Arielle for Africa. And it's built in, it's baked in, thanks to Edith and her co-founder, the trusting Arielle for Africa with their people, with the journey. And both for the entrepreneur and for the partners in the business. Bravo. Yeah, that can be one of the hardest things we accomplish as founders, correct?
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you're dealing with, you know, a shaky landscape where, you know, people have some very clear agendas and they're not in alignment with yours. To create that kind of constituency is really powerful, and to galvanize that level of participation and trust is amazing. So can we just have a moment? Bravo. Hands up for Edith. And then how do you make money? Because, you know, this is always a challenge, right? I mean, you can be very mission centered and you've done all these wonderful things well, but you're bootstrapped. You have to stay in business. What's your business model and how are you measuring that along the way? So, and founders, you know, I'm always asking business model questions, right? So that everybody's always thinking, well, how am I measuring my success? How am I measuring my growth? How am I measuring, you know, what are key metrics? What are yours, Edith, for Arielle for Africa?
I'll start with how we make money.
Good.
So how we essentially bring in revenues are always through what we offer to people. So our revenues so far, unfortunately, have not been grants or things like that. Those would be great. If you find them, send them our way. But what we have been doing is we have been offering our programs. We have an internationally certified curriculum for entrepreneurs, for corporate leaders, and for financial literacy as well. So we offer those curriculums throughout Africa. Number two, we have, like I said, the platform that allows young people to get a trading certification, to do some virtual gamified trading on international stock markets as well. And they pay for that. And then we get a revenue share for that as well. And then also there's the funding connections or relationships that we create. And that's more streams of revenue as well. And then right now, what we're working towards really hard is to have our own pool of funding, because we've seen how well our entrepreneurs do. We've seen them going and getting loans for 25%, which is what is here, and it's crazy. But we know that we can offer them better while still making more revenue. So that's another thing that we're working on.
And will those be like micro loans that you'd be giving them as far as funding, or it will be equity involved?
I think it would depend, because sometimes they want different things. Some of them come and they say, all I want is for like a year and I will pay it back, you know? And then some of them, they say, okay, I want a bit more time. I want it to be equity. Others deserve grants as well, right? So we also want to be able to do that. So yeah, we want to have a mix depending on the need, because right now what we're doing is connecting them. But that really is not a long-term solution for us. So we're really working on having a pool where we don't have to necessarily connect them to other sources. They can come to us and they know it is from us. So that's something else that we're working on as well. So we make revenues from all directions.
I love that. And so as far as measuring your success, measuring your growth.
That was the second one. Okay. So our main metric for success is number one, how many people we're able to handle, or how many entrepreneurs we're able to work with, how many leaders we're able to impact and work with. Number two, how many jobs they create, right? So the only reason I will work with you as an entrepreneur is because I know you will go and create 5 or 10 jobs somewhere else down the line from your business doing well. So another thing we also measure against is how many jobs our entrepreneurs are creating. Number three, not just our revenues, but the revenues of our entrepreneurs' businesses. So we take them through the program. We do all that we do for them so that they can thrive. And we need to be able to measure their thriving, because our thriving is on the basis of their thriving. That is our key metric for success there. Another thing that we do, a quick sort of or early stage measure of success, is an entrepreneur's diagnostics. So we do a diagnostic sort of assessment in the beginning, and then we do another diagnostic at the end of them as a leader, them as a person, them in their business, and the general performance of their team. At the end of the program, we're hoping that this has improved. So we do another assessment, and then throughout the 5 years, so each entrepreneur that we work with, we mentor them for 5 years. We do more assessments in that time to again measure these things. Another thing for us is the partnerships, the countries that we're able to get to, the revenue, of course, profits as well, when we're able to actually have that.
I hope founders, especially first-time founders, are taking all that advice in. I mean, may I just remind everybody, it's what, 7:30, 7:45 p.m. on a Friday night where you are, right?
Yeah, so they better be writing.
So you're making a lot of sense for that. I mean, I don't know if I could even know my name by the end of the week. Friday night. I'm so grateful that you tuned in and joined us for this time. I agree 100%. Mel, it's so good to see you. How are you? Happy holidays. So grateful you tuned in. Thank you. Thank you. I've known Mel online for years here. Yeah, it's probably since 2012. So good to see you. And, and along the way, I'm getting, how much you're learning from all the entrepreneurs that you're talking to. And, and how have you been, because you've had to build your own internal team this time. How has that been for you in growing the team that supports all of this, supports Arielle for Africa?
Team is always a tricky topic because I think it, for any founder, right? I always say, this is my biggest tip for founders, okay? If you forget everything else I've said, remember this. When you have a co-founder, you're basically married to that person. So choose wisely, okay? Choose very wisely who you end up married to. I have found it's not necessarily the ideas that have made anything that I've done successful. It has always been the people that I have ended up being co-founders with. Because the truth is, when the going gets tough, you need not just a person to hold down the business, but a person to hold you down. That is basically the job description of co-founder to co-founder, just hold me down. So I think that's the number one thing. Are you going to say it's a quote now?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Choose wisely, everybody. Stitch that on a pillow. Absolutely, Edith. Excellent and brilliant advice for founders. And when you say hold down, you mean just, keep you grounded, keep you on purpose in the process. And that's one of the beauties of having co-founders, that when you have chosen wisely, is that, you can help each other get through the roller coaster ride of this incredible journey that you're on. Oh my gosh. So, part of this journey, everyone, is the fact that we're founders. And Edith just gave us a beautiful example of how we have to hold on to each other as co-founders, but there's still plenty of times when everybody's feeling inadequate, because this is the first time you've done this. Even if it's the second or third, I have a TED Talk. If you'd like it, just ping me either online or Ande@andelyons.com. I'll send it to you. This is a billionaire, cashed out entrepreneur from Australia who talks about imposter syndrome as a founder. He's had how many times has he cashed out? He still has it. So it's part of the founder journey. How do you shift your mindset other than holding on to your co-founder and turning to her for help? How do you get through those times when you're feeling inadequate, when you're having, founder doubt in the journey of being a founder and a co-founder?
I think probably this is such a hard question because I think part of being, or rather something that's not discussed in founder circles much, is mental health for founders, where there's a lot that you deal with as a founder. There's a lot that goes on that you have to handle or that you have to find a way to deal with. I always say, I have quite a few tips here from experience. One, you need to have people that have been on the journey that you can go to or that you can look at or that you can mention to, listen, I'm struggling, or I'm feeling like this, or I'm feeling like an imposter, or I'm feeling inadequate, or I'm feeling not enough, or I'm feeling like I'm not the right person, or I'm feeling this is too big, or I'm feeling like this is too much. You need to have people that have been where you want to go or have walked the journey you're now walking. So I'm very intentional about mentorship, but also, now that I've said that, I'm very intentional about mentoring, right? So a recent research found out that the greatest CEOs of all time are not the greatest people or per se the people who had the greatest mentors, but rather the ones who mentored the greatest. So I've been very intentional about mentoring and creating greater molds of myself, because when I feel like an imposter, or when I feel like I'm not enough, or when I feel like this is too much, I remember I'm only feeling this so that I understand and I can tell the person that I'm working with, mentoring and molding after myself, what to do when they get to that point. You can never understand someone's struggle unless you've lived through it. So founders get upset when they're struggling. Don't get upset. It just means there's a person that will come your way that you need to give advice, and you will never be able to do it until you have struggled to get funding, until you have struggled with a team, until you have struggled with the wrong business model. Tip number 3, right? Physical exercise always helps. Okay, guys? It always helps. Endorphins are my best friend. So find things that you love. Find a way to unplug. Find a way to get away from it. Normally, when there's a situation and I feel like I'm going a bit crazy, I unplug from it. So I get away from it. Go running. Kenyans, we're runners. So go running. In my case, find something that you love. Find a way to get away from it. I read a lot of leisure books and a lot of other books. I've currently read 70 this year, not because I had a lot of time, but because it's 2020,
I,
So yeah, that's what I do.
I agree, Laura. Outstanding and inspirational advice for all founders. Oh my gosh. This journey, you're absolutely right. We have to embrace the obstacles and we have to find a way to self-soothe. We learned that from Melissa earlier this week. Tools that work. Exercise, folks, dancing. Okay. I know when I cannot seem to I feel either brain dead or I'm feeling a little low, I put on some great music. I start to dance, get that vibe going, and then get the oxygen to the brain, throw down some water, get hydrated. And all of a sudden, the obstacles and problems become something I want to take on instead of push away and avoid. And that's a mindset hack that works so well. So thank you for bringing up all 3 of your great tips. I mean, mentoring and understanding the gift of what you're struggling through and how you can help someone else with their struggle. Love them through it, mentor them through it, whatever they're going through. Wow. AJ has another question. The exploitation of many African small businesses over decades by other countries is well documented. documented? Do you have partnerships with local African regulators to create policy advantageous to local SMBs?
Oh, when I grow up. I think here, like, I think what we have been doing so far has really been just to recognize how they're being exploited and then making sure that we are almost like a bridge or a solution so that they're not exploited, the ones that we're able to get to. Um, in terms of policy, these are discussions that we've had. These are conversations that we've brought up. These are things we've been very, very vocal about. Has anything actually been written or changed in all of the countries that we're in? No. Will we get there? Yes. How will we get there? Ask me in 5 years. Keep me accountable and ask me in 5 years. I think what we've really just been intentional about doing is getting partnerships where we're able to act as a bridge. And I'll use an example. Part of what we're doing is working with a company that works with, not a company, a nonprofit that works with women who have previously been incarcerated and bringing them back into community. So a lot of these women who have been incarcerated, when they come back into the community, they don't have entrepreneurship tools ready to go. They don't have jobs that they can apply to and will be accepted to. So a lot of what we have been working on doing with them is making sure that we're molding them so that they have businesses, tangible things that they can do with their hands and start immediately. And these are things that we're passionate about, giving access to people who have been excluded because of the system that we live in. I wish policy was that easy or quick to change here, but it's something that I know we will be in a position to change very soon. I feel like Arielle for Africa will get the platform to really be a key decision maker in these spaces.
Okay, AJ, and anybody else watching, seriously, that level of commitment to the future is extraordinary. We're all whining like crazy right here in the US because we're appalled, right? But seriously, we can solve the policy problems here and the challenges here when we have our mentor from Arielle for Africa, Edith, helping us. Hey, Edith, how did you come up with the name Arielle?
Oh, my heart. So Arielle is actually the Hebrew name for lioness. Lioness of God, to be particular. So if you, because me and my co-founder Ferouz were both Christians, we're both believers, for us, Arielle was really almost like a calling, I would say, or like a deep desire to rebuild the continent of Africa. And if you read the Bible, Africa is spoken about left, right, and center. And really, she should be shining in glory. But everything that's happening is not where it's supposed to be. So we see ourselves as a lioness, which I know Ande will love, roaring on behalf of all the entrepreneurs, all the young talent, all the leaders, all of the future of Africa.
Ah, love that, something fierce. Okay. Whew. Arielle, you have been an entrepreneur for what, about almost 2 years now in this specific, not even. Yeah. So what has this journey taught you? Entrepreneurship taught you both personally and professionally. How has it changed you and your life?
Okay, let me summarize it in one word. Entrepreneurship has humbled me. I feel like it's almost like taken me and put me under fire to the point where I have been humbled. I think that's the right word, where it almost brings a person low to the point where you are on the earth, like you're standing on the ground, and especially entrepreneurship here. So I think it has been a very humbling journey for me, very, very good for my character, I would say. I think I wouldn't have the strong character that I have today if I wasn't an entrepreneur. I don't think I would care as much if I wasn't one. I don't think I would sympathize or understand what entrepreneurs go through if I hadn't been through it myself. So I think it has been a very good, humbling, let me use that word, process, but hard. Anyone who says entrepreneurship or being a founder is easy, they need to write a book and tell us the recipe, because maybe we're doing it wrong, but it is hard. But it's only hard because it's not for everybody. And entrepreneurship and being a founder is a gift. And only the people that fight for it correctly, only the people that sacrifice for it correctly deserve that gift. So if you have that gift, it's not a bad thing. Just understand that there's a cost that comes with it.
That's beautiful. And so the lioness in me honors the lioness in you.
Oh.
A new way of doing namaste, everybody. Mia, I feel the same way. Mia says, I feel like I'm at Entrepreneurship.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Hey, Kristen. So good to see you. Oh my gosh, yes. And Kristen also wanted to add, she loved your Arielle story as well.
Oh.
And I just want to add that part of entrepreneurship. If you're looking for instant gratification, just go order a pizza. You're never going to get that with entrepreneurship at all. This is what I love to see. We're going to close. It's going to cover up our faces right here. But Zazie, that's the name of her business. The olive oil, working with the female farmers from Turkey, would love to work with women in Africa. So we will connect you. Okay. Thank you, Laura. You see all the ways to connect with Edith right here in her banner. I'll have that in the show notes as well. Very easy. This is all about collaborations. Edith, thank you for coming on a Friday night, for crying out loud. The end of a very busy week. You're serving the world in so many beautiful, exquisite, and talented ways, meaningful and human ways. I am so grateful. Any last words you'd like to share with everybody before I wrap things up?
I think I would say to the founders, stay in the race. Stay in the race, stay strong. It will be worth it. Down the line, it will make sense. Just buckle down and stay in the race. For other people who are not founders, and really for all of us, this period that we've been in has been hectic, but especially for founders. If you forget everything I've said, just make sure that if you know any founder, reach out to them today. Call them and tell them, I see you, I hear you, what you're doing is important, and I support you. It makes a difference. Reach out to founders.
Oh, I feel a Stevie Wonder song coming on. I just called to tell you I love you. So beautiful. I will hold that in my heart over the weekend. I'm going to just reach out to a bunch of founders today and remind them that they are seen and they are celebrated. Yeah. I am so grateful that you chose to join and come on and share your brilliance and your humanity with the Startup Life live show audience. Thank you so much, Edith. And those of you who have tuned in live or via replay, are you feeling the love from that amazing founder, that fab female founder here today on Friday, December 11? Oh my gosh, 11/11, as we started the broadcast at 11 a.m. I am so grateful you tuned in, and I know that you took away some stitch that on a pillow nuggets from our wonderful guest, Edith. Remember, if you have any questions for Edith, you can reach right out to her. Her email address is right there on the banners throughout the show, but it's also in the show notes, and the URL for Arielle for Africa, which we all have, a better appreciation for now that we understand where Arielle came from, the lioness. Oh, so beautiful. Those of you, of course, who are watching, please like the videos. Please join me on YouTube with your subscriber love by clicking that subscribe button. It means the world to me. And hey, founders, you don't need to struggle alone. We were talking about mentorship today. And as you know, this is how I serve founders. Pitch deck reviews, strategy sessions. One of my favorite things is the on demand. I mean, my founders book me 15 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, and they call me when something has happened in that moment. It's so important to get the mentorship when it is happening. 2020 is great too. But so please feel free to reach out. We can have a conversation. I have my book a 15-minute conversation with me, kick my tires, find out if we're a fit, see how I can help you with your founder journey. It's, there's just no need to go it alone. Really, when you have support as a founder, you're going to waste less time and definitely not spend a lot of money because you'll be making your decisions faster and more spot on for your wonderful work in the world. And of course, I'd love to learn more about you and what you're doing. So be sure to follow me everywhere I glow. I am all over social media. Of course, you'll find me at my favorite bar, Twitter, at all times as well. I want to share with you who's coming on Tuesday, December 15th. It would help if, let's see, nope, I'm going to have to pull up. Hold on. I've got to pull up the flyer for our wonderful guest next Tuesday, because you're not going to want to miss this show. We are talking to the author of this book, Launching While Female, Smashing the System That Holds Women Entrepreneurs Back. It's Suzanne Alsop. And I have to tell you, Suzanne was the editor of the Boston Magazine for 6 years. She is a seasoned journalist. She is an associate professor at Emerson College right here in Boston, focused on women in entrepreneurship and media. And she has really found some incredible things out through her research for Launching While Female. Put that back up there. Mostly, too, how to navigate the unconscious bias that women are constantly up against, especially women of color, and address those hashtag Me Too moments. I mean, we've been talking about it a lot over the years, but really we need to be able to manage that. And also, what are the ways that we can open the entrepreneurial system for everyone, to everyone? So it's going to be a great conversation with Suzanne. And here's a way to get alerts every time I post a new show or schedule a new show. Please join me on the Startup Life Live meetup group. There's the link right there. And this way you'll get an alert every time I post a new show. So one of the things that Edith closed out with was stay in the race. So that's what I'm going to just add on to that. Stay in the race, stay focused. Thank you, Mel. So happy you tuned in. And yeah, Edith, we're going to want to know what's next. I think she was talking about we're going to surpass the 100,000 jobs. We're going for 1 million. Yay. And thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate your support. I love your beautiful words there. They make my heart sing with joy. Thank you. Thank you to all the viewers. I encourage you to stay in the race, stay focused, stay home if you have to, stay healthy, and remember that you've got this. This gift of entrepreneurship is for you. You have been called uniquely to serve the world in this way with your business. I believe in you, and I'll see you next time. Mwah, everyone.